Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we have a quite large dev blog to go through. Large in terms of its actual size, and very large in terms of the impact that this is going to have on the game. So it seems that out of absolutely nowhere, Wargaming has decided to overhaul the content rarity system in-game and add in a new ship rotation feature mechanic for premium ships in the armory and the premium shop. So this does a lot of things, and there's been a lot of, shall we say, passionate response to this throughout the community. Truthfully, it is a bit of good, a bit of not so good. You'll see when we get into it. So let's go ahead and hop right on in. Link to this is in the description down below. If you want to read along as I read aloud, I will be throwing up any relevant images or artwork as we go through this dev blog. But if you want to double check what I'm saying or just check out, there's quite a few charts in this dev blog. So if you want to check that out for yourselves, check out the link down below. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and that like button too, and leave a comment. And then you will appease our YouTube algorithm overlords. But anyway, alright, dev blog is titled Content Rarity and Ship Rotation. Captains, today we would like to provide you with a preview of some new features and changes being introduced in the future. As we delve into the details, it's worth highlighting that this is a sneak peek, with some aspects still in development and thus subject to change or not yet ready to be shared in full detail at this time. This also applies to any images shown. As we get closer to release, additional details will be provided in future news articles. So, as we're going through this, just remember that this is a sneak peek at a work in progress change. So, this can, of course, all change. Some of the numbers and figures might change, so keep that in mind as we go through it. Alright, let's start out with the content rarity. Currently, the user interface does not always make it clear what level of effort or exclusive... Oh boy, that's a word that's going to tongue-tie me. Exclusivity, whatever, is associated with certain types of content. This can make it difficult to distinguish between items that are widely accessible and those that are intended to be more exclusive or prestigious. For example, players would naturally view some ships as more exclusive than others, such as dockyard ships like the Wisconsin, or one-of-a-kind ships like the Kitakami. Despite no current in-game interface to indicate as such, however, this primarily came from knowledge that fans of naval history and veteran captains obtained over time, which is not as evident to all of our audience. To address this, in Update 14.6, we will introduce the content rarity system into the game. This is designed to help captains more easily evaluate the differences in items such as ships, camouflages, enemy destruction effects, and potentially additional content in the future by classifying them with a rarity grade visible within the game interface. We recognize that in many games, item rarity is often associated with increased power or performance. However, we want to emphasize that our rarity system is not a reflection of a ship's strength or combat effectiveness. The intention behind the system is providing players with the means to have a better overall understanding of the intended amount of effort needed to acquire content, and if it will be accessible or highly exclusive. Rarity levels can be evaluated using the following. I'll pop this chart up here on screen right now. So item rarity in this game has never really meant that a ship is necessarily good or really good at what it does. Like the Missouri, for example, after they normalize the economy on the Missouri. Missouri is still a very rare ship to find in World Warships nowadays. You usually have to get lucky in a container or something to get a Missouri, but like at the end of the day, today, especially with the Missouri just having a normal Tier 9 economy, it's just a worse Iowa, yet it's one of the most rare ships in the game. So that tracks with what we've already had in terms of quote-unquote rarity so far in game. But so those are the that little chart on screen there. I'm not going to read through all that. That is the parameters now for these different levels of rarity. We have common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary now. So legendary ships, they're going to be stuff like the Alabama ST, Arkansas Beta, common ships, tech tree ships, and then going throughout the various levels of effort you get from uncommon to epic. So yeah, now they're applying this to every item in game, basically. So from ships to destruction effects, camos, and such, they're all going to have a color-coded system. If you've played any modern-day MMO, they all have the same system in place, right? You got blue, yellow, purple, red sometimes gets used for color coding. That's essentially what they're going to be doing in the game in terms of the color coding. And here's some images of that system that they're planning on bringing to the game. This, I'm just kind of like, okay, fine, whatever. This has been a thing in other games for years now. And yeah, it will make it a little bit more clear to newer players, like, hey, this is a rare ship, hey, this is a uncommon ship, so forth and so on. I don't really care what shade is around my ship in the UI. It doesn't really change anything about the ship. So, like, okay, this is fine and all, but, like, in my mind, there's things that they need to be focusing on more than, differentiating between, what's a rare ship versus what's a common ship. Like a tutorial still. Like, yeah, sure, players don't really know what is rare, what's a common ship, but that's not really that big of an issue when, like, we still have players that don't really know how to play the game, especially with the newer players, right? So, and I know they're working on that with the low tier rework, but it's like, okay, there's other parts of the UI that can be updated too. Like the port UI really needs an overhaul. The in-game UI needs a facelift too. So this is not a big deal for me, but they should have been working on something else instead, in my humble opinion, because clearly the UI team was working on this, right? So anyway, now going on to the part that really does start to affect you and I. As one of the Rarity system's core objectives is to improve clarity and consistency, we will also be implementing a standardized pricing model for direct sales based on the rarity of the content, in addition to removing pricing differences between different ship types. We would also like to note that while dockyard ships will have a higher rarity compared to normally available premium ships with the introduction of this system, the overall effort and cost of completing a dockyard will remain the same as it is presently. Okay, that's good. How this works. Pricing of affected content in the armory and premium shop will be standardized based on rarity grade. The tables below show the levels of rarity available in the armory and premium shop and the pricing. The current range column indicates the minimum and maximum price ranges for ships prior to any adjustments for this system. So, TLDR, what they're doing here is they are making each tier have its own standardized price for each level of rarity, which apparently you can only buy uncommon and rare ships in the premium shop or armory. So those are the two that they give us the numbers for. Now, this makes more sense in my mind because it was always strange to me that for some reason at the same tier, a battleship was more expensive than a destroyer, and cruisers were sometimes in between, and CVs are normally at the same level of a battleship, but sometimes more expensive. Like Graf Zeppelin, for some reason, is 14,000 doubloons in the premium shop. I don't understand why, but it is. So, that never really made any sense. So the fact that they're standardizing price despite class, that makes sense in my mind. So, there's that. And with these pricing changes, they're actually, in most cases, for doubloon ships, generally speaking, the price is going to actually be a little bit cheaper. Of course, unless we're talking about a destroyer, who's now cost the same as, well, everything else at that tier. But generally, they shaved, like, anywhere from, depending upon what ship it is, because each individual ship sometimes has a little bit of a difference in the price too, anywhere from like 3,000 dubs off the cost of a ship to 1,200 doubloons, and of course, again, with some of the ships like destroyers, their price is going to go up by like 1,200-ish doubloons. But overall, they're generally going to be cheaper to buy in the armory for doubloons, generally speaking. So that's cool. Now, where this kind of comes back around is the fact that resource ships like coal ships and steel ships, they are generally going to be more expensive, especially when we're talking about the tier 10s. Apparently for coals, the tier 10s and the tier 9s are going to be more expensive. The tier 8s are going to be around the same-ish, maybe a little bit cheaper. I'll post the chart here, but As you can see, for most of it, the tier 10s and tier 9s are going to be more expensive. The tier 8s and 7s and such are going to be around the same-ish, a little bit cheaper in some cases. So, yeah, it's also interesting what they're doing with classifying some of these ships as rare and epic. Because those ships are going to be way more expensive now because they're going to have a higher price than what's established in the new standardized pricing for the coal ships. So like the new Shishimi and the Black, those guys are going to be 285,000 coal. And the Flint, too, which is an epic Tier 7 coal ship now, is going to be a whopping 120,000 coal, while the other Tier 7 coal ships are going to be a measly 75,000 coal. So that's... that's a little bit more expensive, obviously. And apparently, too, there is a level of epicness in the coal ships where we will apparently going to have a coal ship that's going to cost 415,000 coal, which is just, my God, that's a lot. That's a lot of coal. Yeah, still ships are getting more expensive too. Standard price now is 31,000 still because they're all rare, apparently, according to Wargaming. So, yeah, gone are the days of the 28,000 steel ships. Unless you're the Vallejo. The Vallejo is a tier 9, so it gets to maintain its 21,500 steel cost. So there's that. And then the Research Bureau ships are, well, 62,000 Research Bureau points for tier 10s, and then the tier 9s are 43,000 Research Bureau points. So there's that. Yeah, so they're getting more expensive. The tier 10s are getting more expensive. The tier 9s are getting a little bit cheaper. So there you go. So as you can see, going through these changes, for the most part, it's very give and take. So balloon ships, pretty much cheaper across the board. Again, with the standardization and the pricing, some destroyers have gotten a little bit more expensive, but overall, you know, we're getting a pretty big discount on most of the doubloon ships. Like tier 9s are like 19,300 doubloons in the premium shop right now, and they're going to be 18,000 doubloons now after these changes. So I mean, that's not terrible in my mind that they're standardizing them, so that's cool. But yes, if you want a tier 10 resource ship, get ready to grind because it's going to get more expensive. Now, while, yes, this is more expensive for these resource ships, they're not overwhelmingly more expensive, shall we say. Like another 2,000 Research Bureau points. That's, yeah, it's more, but it's not like it's 70,000 Research Bureau points at this time. For now, at least, and this is all in work in progress. It can change, so we'll see what happens going forward. So it's give and take, very much so, with these changes. Overall, I like the cheaper doubloon ships. I very much like that. You know, now you have your coupon, which you can get an even bigger discount on these ships now from what the price is currently. So, you know, give and take, give and take. I'm still not sure if I'm fully on board with these changes just yet, but that right there is give and take. We got some more to get to, however. They are changing how the containers, the container barge import works. You now have options to select how many containers you want to open at one point in time. You can skip the animation now rather than having to, you know, wait for the crane to come in and drop the container on screen. And they're going to have a more detailed breakdown of, you know, the contents of the container at the barge as well. So that's very cool. I like the, you know, the more clarity about what's in the container and such, and how you can, you know, if you just want to collect the containers, you can just, you know, skip all the fanfare and such and get your containers out of the way. All right, the other big part about this dev blog is ship rotation. So, they say, in Update 14.6, we're introducing a ship rotation system to streamline the increasingly crowded armory and premium shop. That is really funny considering how, I guess you could say how often new ships are actually directly added into the armory and premium shop. It's not very often. Over the years, a vast number of premium ships have been released, making it difficult for players to navigate and evaluate their options. This new system will keep the most popular ships available for sale while rotating other ships, both new and old, through the armory on a regular schedule. This system will provide access to a wider variety of content, including previously released ships such as Brisbane, Almirante Grau, Nottingham, and Numancia, which will return in Update 14.6 as part of the first rotation set available for doubloons. Additionally, Nottingham will also be available for coal. With this, the intention is to establish a regular interval in which groups of ships will be rotated in and out of these stores. 2 new ships, the Irresistible and the William D. Erst, will be available from Update 14.5 for 62,000 research points and 31,000 steel, respectively. Additionally, 2 rare ships, San Diego and Leon, will be removed from the Army in Update 14.6. San Diego will return as the final reward as a part of a free event collection Update 14.7, while Leon remains available through the Italian Destroyer Collection. How it works. Ships will be separated into one of 4 initial planned groups for rotation. The groups are designed to be as evenly distributed as possible in total number of ships, nations, classes, and tiers. Each group of ships will be available for 6 updates at a time. Whoa, 6 updates. This means that if a group is introduced in version 14.6, the ships will be available until version 15.0. A group of ships may be out of rotation for a maximum of 6 updates. The development of groups will be staggered, so at any given point, there will be 2 groups of ships available, with a new group of ships rotating in every 3 updates. Ship rotations will be announced 1 update in advance in the following manner. With a version update article /patch notes, ships intended to be rotated out will be tagged with a specific identifying filter in the Army and will be placed in the filtered subgroup, placed in a special subgroup above all others in the premium shop to spotlight them. When a new uncommon ship is introduced, it will be assigned to a rotation group and become available again 6 to 9 updates after its initial release. Each ship will be available as part of its group for 6 updates, offered through direct sale for doubloons. Rare ships will continue to debut through events or specific free activities. To make future access more predictable, ships released with a rolling 12 update block, e.g. updates 14.2 through 15.1, will later become available for purchase during an annual summer festival. As one would expect, the majority of rare ships released throughout the year will be present in the Christmas/Santa containers. Each ship in the block will follow a minimum wait time of 4 updates and a maximum of 15 updates before being eligible for sale. Maximum of 15 updates before just being sold. Jeez. The same update block system will repeat annually, allowing players consistent opportunities to obtain rare ships. During the summer festival, newly added rare ships will be available for direct purchase. Okay, well, there's that. Oh, man. So, this to me, sure, the Armory and the premium shop, what's in there is fairly stagnant, but, and I had mentioned, maybe bringing in rotating ships in and out of the Armory beforehand, but this is, I don't know. This kind of reeks of more FOMO. So now that you're adding in, more opportunities to remove ships from the shop, and you better get them before they're gone. But man, it's pretty convoluted. It seems, especially when you take a look at the artwork that they give us with this rotation system. Man, there's a lot going on here. But at the same time, too, having a way to move ships in and out of the Armory to where you don't have ships that just disappear for a year at a time, although they did say the maximum wait time is 15 patches before some ships could be reintroduced. I do kind of like the sound of that, and this is all in development, right? That they could shelf this, they could tweak this, so that's what we're dealing with right now. Now, we do have a list of ships that they are planning on removing from the Army and Premium Shop in Update 14.6, and there's some pretty interesting decisions here. They're removing the Scharnhorst and the Kid, for example. Those are 2 very popular ships, which is odd because they said, the most popular ships will be staying, but, Scharnhorst, that Scharnhorst, that's a really popular premium, as is the Kid. But, okay. But, you know, there are some ships on this list that make sense, like the Nueve de Julio, Boise, Ochakov, Yukon, Verbis Unitas, Genova, the Schonberg. You know, those are less popular ships, but you still see them for sure. So that's tier 7 to... it's weird they have this broken up into 2 columns. Oh, these are armory ships and these are premium shop ships. Okay. Yeah, then like the Roma's leaving. Borodino, Indianapolis, Agincourt, Chikhalov, Congress. These are pretty popular ships that they're pulling out of the armory at 14.6, but that's what they're planning on doing right now. So, yeah. And, you know, this, like, triggers my FOMO alarm by a lot, because it's like, okay, now if you want to get these ships before they're gone for who knows how long, yeah, you better pick them up, right? But at the same time, too, it's like, well, I mean, it's more FOMO tactics to me, because, you know, like, this is a popular thing in, again, more modern live service video games, where they have, you know, a very limited window to purchase things in their, you know, shops or whatever. It just seems like, you know, they're adapting this to Warships now. So there's that. And here at the bottom, there's going to be a trade-in event in update 14.5. In the last 2 weeks of update 14.5, those are the ships you can pick up in that trade-in event. So there's that. Dang. So lots of changes here in this dev blog with regards to how we receive premium ships. But dang, you know, at the end of the day, the big question is, what's wrong with just putting them in the premium shop? Like, there's no square footage that you have to buy for the premium shop, right? Like, it's digital place. Besides the servers, you don't have to go open up a storefront. You don't have a limited, you know, amount of shelf space. So what's wrong with just, you know, adding ships to the premium shop? Allows anyone to buy them whenever they want, right? Rather than leading to the FOMO tactics and trying to, you know, have players scramble to purchase ships when they do become available, just add them to the premium shop. Allow us to buy them for, you know, money, rather than putting them in all these convoluted events and such. Which now this is, if this goes forward, this will become a, you know, staple of the game going forward. So, yeah, I mean, wow. I'm not a fan of the rotation system. You know, maybe with, like, the newer premium ships that they add in for, like, 2 weeks and then they remove, you know, rotating those guys in and out, fine. But, like, why are you removing, you know, Scharnhorst Kid, the Atlanta, Gascon, popular premium ships? Because obviously, you know, they want people to pick them up before they go, is what I can see. Or maybe, you know, these are popular premium ships, so maybe, you know, everyone has these that's playing regularly. Maybe that's the point of view they're going at. But, yeah, so I'm leaning towards not a fan with the rotation system. I like the standardization of the price with the premium ships for doubloons, because we pretty much get a bit of a discount with those. Don't like that they're making resource ships more grindy. At the end of the day, that's what's happening with steel and coal ships, because, you know, those highly desirable higher tier steel and coal ships are going to become more expensive at the end of the day. And I don't really care one way or another about the color coding, the rarity level of the premiums in game. So for the time being, that's my 2 cents on this, on these 2 new systems coming to the game. Probably in the future, Wargame will release, hopefully, a little bit more articles about these new systems with some more clarity, and we'll be able to spell things out for us a little bit better than what's in the dev blog. Again, all of this work in progress, you know, very early sneak peek at what's going on. So keep that in mind. They could shelf this next week, and it never sees the light of day. We just don't know, and of course, time will tell. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Share your thoughts with us, and we'll see what happens with this. So hope you guys have a great Wednesday and a wonderful rest of your week. And hope to catch you guys in the next one.